Hello, today I'm delighted to announce a brand new feature for Fred users called SuperLink. In the past, as you know, to use Fred, people had to, initially after they do the registration, they get their personal QR code in an email. And so to be able to register every single purchase, they had to show that personal QR code to the staff at the restaurant. And even though it's not that big of a deal, it's a little bit of a hassle because people have to go to email and they have to go and find the email with particular QR code. Theoretically, they could save that from that email. In fact, let me just show you as we do this thing so you can kind of walk through it with me. So you go to Gmail, for example. Hopefully you can see it. There we go. And then, obviously you don't see what you're looking for, so you need to search for it. So if I know the restaurant name, I'm going to put in the restaurant name, QR code or something, something restaurant name, QR code, see what comes up. And then it comes up with all these, potentially more emails, depending on how many emails you have with that code. As you can see, I have more than one. So people have to normally click on whichever ones, finally they get to the one they want, which is this one. And that's the Fred welcome email that tells them a little bit about what to do and shows them their personal QR code that they need to show to the restaurant staff every time that they make a purchase. Not a huge deal, but a little bit of a hassle to do this every single time. And so one gentleman asked one time, is there anything you can do to make it simpler than scanning the QR code? And so obviously, if you make it simpler, then it's going to be convenient for the users, and also it's going to be convenient for the restaurant staff. The easier, the better. As I mentioned in other videos, that if you use, if the customer uses My 10 Dishes, then the whole concept of getting credits and getting rewards is completely automated through My 10 Dishes, as long as they order using My 10 Dishes. But not everybody is using My 10 Dishes, and without that, you have to use this process to be able to register purchases and then get the rewards when Fred comes up and says it's time to get the reward. So then at that point, like I said, they would show the QR code to the staff. Staff would scan that QR code with their mobile device, and then they would enter verification code to make sure everything is the way it should be, and then the purchase is registered, and that's it. So that's the process how it used to be, and people can still use it exactly the same way. This new SuperLink concept doesn't negate anything or change anything where you can't use the old procedure. So the new process is using what we call check-in. And so the way that works is, just quickly show you how the check-in part works to make it easier than scanning the QR code, as I just described. And the easiest way to do that would be to, let me jump to another screen real quick here. Let me just minimize this. There we go. And so as you can see here, the restaurant runs this screen here, which is just a bookmark. It's not any kind of app. They don't have to download or install anything. It's just a bookmark to a website that they go to, which is something they can put on their phones and their tablets, whatever they want to run it on. Ideally, this would be the actual staff member who comes to the customer to, when they're ready to take their payment. Before taking the payment, they would ask them if they're a member of Fred, and if so, would they like to scan the code or check in? And so the scanning of the code we already described, that works that way. The other approach is to use the check-in. And the way the check-in works is that the staff is running in one of the tabs this particular online application. Again, just a bookmark. They don't have to do anything else. And it shows them which customers checked in. It says right here, customers who recently checked in, and it shows, as you can see, nobody there right now. Okay, so that's the basic mode of operation there. Now, if they go back to, I need to pick the right screen here. My Gmail again, yeah. The process with, well, I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead of time, but it's okay. So the SuperLink is basically a link that they also have, that this is the customer will have on their phone. Just one link they need to install, and that's it. And when they click on it, I'll simulate clicking on it here, and then make the screen smaller so you can see easier. Then you can see that right here. what the customer gets on their screen is they have the branding in place. Obviously, you have the logo, you have the name, so it's my name, and then their code shows up right here. So by having this single tap access on their phone, just simply putting a bookmark on their home screen, the customer can then easily get to show their QR code by simply tapping on that button, that link. I can't speak today. And then they can see this screen comes up, and then they just show it to the staff member. The staff member scans it, and they do the process. So the check-in process is similar in terms of they still go to the same place. So this is why I call it SuperLink, because everything they need is one screen. So if they want to scan it, there's the scan code. If they want to check in, the customer simply clicks on the check-in button here. So they pulled up this thing, clicked on check-in. It comes up and says thanks, and that's it. Okay, so they're done checking in. Now, if I jump back to the other screen, which is now the staff member screen, when they look at their recent customers who recently checked in, let me just refresh that. When I refresh it, you can see that now it shows my name here because I checked in, so now they can see my name. Okay, and so all they have to do to register a purchase without doing any scanning or anything is simply click on my name, and it takes them right to the screen, which they normally would get to if they scan the QR code, the person's QR code. And over here, they just enter the verification code, and I'll go ahead and do that. And once they enter the verification code, it comes up and says total purchases, including today, is 18. Okay? And this particular place, you have to buy 10, 11th one you get for free. So right now, I supposedly purchased 18, and that's all I have to do. I just basically, that's the whole part there about the restaurant registering it. And so now my purchase is registered. If I want to, I can go to your reward status here from that same screen as a customer. Great. There we go. And it says just 4 purchases until your next reward. Okay. So I purchased 18. Yeah. So the next one will be a 22. So that makes sense. It says, so it shows how many are left to purchase to get for the customer to get their next reward. And they can check this anytime. You know, they don't have to be doing anything. They don't have to be, I'm showing you the check-in process and then showing you the reward status, but basically they can do it anytime. So the single tap now, the SuperLink as they call it, will get people to this screen, the customer to this screen, where they can either show the QR code that the restaurant staff can use to register their purchase, or they can click on check-in here to indicate that they're in, and then the restaurant staff will be able to pick it up from there using that other screen that they have. So again, the key thing here is there's no scanning involved. And then at any point in time with the same screen here, the customer can click on the rewards, and it shows them how many purchases they have until the next reward. Okay. And one final thing that's being added right now is it says order online. And if the restaurant actually has my 10 dishes as part of the mix, then the customer can actually go directly and place an order by simply clicking on order online. It takes them right to the restaurant's menu on my 10 dishes, and they can click on items to select them to make a order, basically go through the process to place the order. So the beauty of this approach is that all of this is done from a single point, from a single link, if you will. And then with a single tap, they get to the screen and they have everything they need. They can register a purchase easily. They can check in. Check-in is going to have additional capabilities in the future. You know, just registering Fred is just the beginning of it. There's going to be a bunch of other things that I'm planning to do later on with that. But for now, it's just do a check-in to register Fred purchase without doing any scanning. Okay? And then the customer can now check the reward status at any time by just clicking your reward status. And it shows them the rewards. And then They can also place the rest, if the restaurant participates in My 10 Dishes for online ordering, then the customer can order right then and there. So again, SuperLink, single place for everything that the customer might want to do. For the restaurant, it's not any more complex than what it used to be. They can continue to do exactly what they were doing before, if that's what they choose to do. They can also use the check-in capability now to make it easier for them so they don't have to scan. They may save a little bit of time on that. But mainly it's a convenience thing for the customers, um, and potentially to some degree to the restaurants as well. And then the final deal is being able to see, for the customers to see their current status of how many purchases they need to make to get their next reward. I specifically did it this way instead of showing them how many purchases they've made, which is what the actual staff people see on their screen when they scan or when they register a purchase for a person. They see how many total purchases they've made to date from the beginning of time, not just till next reward, but how many purchases total. And so that could be helpful to the staff people. But for the people who are actually the customers who are buying, making purchases, the only thing they really care about when they're going to get their next reward. So the message just shows you need to make X number of purchases to your next reward, and that's, they can get it at any time by jumping to that screen. If the My 10 Dishes is being used, the link will not be there for My 10 Dishes unless the restaurant is part of the My 10 Dishes environment. So the system right now is smart enough to figure out all these things and know, like check-ins, for example, is also not something that's automated. If a restaurant wants to do check-ins, they can. If they don't have to. They can just use the QR codes all the time, in which case that screen will not show check-in button. It'll simply show the person's QR code, and then they can see their rewards. So that's the SuperLink, and pretty excited about it because it makes things much, much easier for everybody using it. And that's, of course, the name of the game. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you're a restaurant looking to add these capabilities to your restaurant, then by all means contact us and we'll take care of you. Thank you.